Good morning, students. I am Miss Rosalie F. Farulan, your teacher for the subject Business Math. This time, we are going to discuss about our topic for this week, fundamental operations of fractions, decimals, and percentage. Before we proceed to our discussion, let's have our content standard and performance standard, including our learning competencies. So the learners demonstrate an understanding of fractions, decimals, and percentage. The learners are able to perform operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division accurately, and perform fundamental operations in fractions and decimals. So at the end of the lesson, you or all of you will be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide decimals, convert fractions to decimals, convert terminating and repeating decimals to fractions, convert decimals to percent, convert percent to decimals, convert fractions to percent, arrange in ascending and descending order a combination of decimals and fractions, and add, subtract, multiply, divide combinations of decimals and fractions. So before we have our discussion, I just want to ask you if you can give practical instances where decimals are used. And which do you prefer? Dealing with fractions or dealing with decimals? So for you to know, dealing decimal is much easier than dealing fractions. Why? Example number 1. Adding decimals is much easier than adding fraction. As you can see, we have 6 over 10 plus 2 over 5 plus 3 over 6. So if we are going to add fractions, first step, of course, we must have to look for its LCD. After looking for its LCD, there we have to divide rather, and then multiply to its numerator. So but then if we are going to add decimals, simply just add 0.06, 0.04, 0.5, so 1 over 5. Just take a look at this example and compare its process. Of course, as you can see, dealing with decimals is really easier than dealing with fraction. And then number 2 example. It is also easier to determine the smallest number if it's in decimal form. So it is really easier to determine where is the smallest one. This time, let's define decimal. So decimal is a representation of a fraction whose denominator is a multiple of 10. Example 1 over 10. Its equivalent to decimal is 1/10. 2 over 100 is equal to 2 hundredths. For 156 over 100, so it will be equal to 4 over 4 and 56 over 100. So if in decimal, it is equivalent to 4.56 hundredths. This one, 104 over 1000. So if we are going to read this, its equivalent to decimal is 104 thousandths. 37 over 10,000. it will be 37 10,000ths. So here in the bottom part, we have the place value of each digit with respect to the decimal point is illustrated below. So we have the decimal point at the middle, and then from the decimal point going to the left are the whole number, and then from the decimal point to the right are its fractional part or the fractional form. So how to read decimals correctly? If we have 1/10 or 0.1 in decimals, we can read it as 1/10. For 2/100, or if we read its decimal point or decimal form, it will be 200ths. It is the correct way of reading. Instead of saying 0.02, it must be read as 200ths. As well as with 4.56, it can be read as 4 and 56 hundredths. Tenths, 6 will be tenths, 5 will be hundredths. Therefore, 4.56 hundredths. How about this one? 104/1000 is equal to 0.104. It must be read as 104 thousandths. 4 is tenths, 0 is hundredths, 1 is thousandths. Therefore, it must be read as 104 thousandths. Last, 37/10,000 or 0.0037. It can be read as 37 10,000ths. 7 is tenths, 3 is hundredths, 0 is thousandths, and the other 0 is 10,000ths. So it will be read as 37 10,000ths. So this one, 723.200 is wrong way of reading. It must be 723 and 2,000ths 345. So can you recall how to expand or how to write the expanded form of the decimals, or did you know how to write it in expanded form? So it must be this way. First we have 7/100, 2 tenths, and 3 ones for the whole number. For the fractional part, we have 2 tenths, we have 3 hundredths, we have 4 thousandths, we have 5 10,000ths. So it is the expanded form of the decimal. Next, ordering of decimals. It involves comparing the numerical value in each place value from the right to the left. First, compare the whole number part. If there is any whole number, we can find the whole number from the decimal point going to the left. And the fractional part will be from the decimal point going to the right. For the fractional part, compare digits starting from tenths place, then hundredths, then thousandths place, and so on. Example, the decimal numbers 5,234 ten thousandths, and then 534 thousandths, 1 and 24 thousandths, and then 124 and 323 hundred thousandths. If you're going to arrange it in descending order, of course, if we say descending order from the highest or from the biggest number to the smallest number. So the first one will be the 1 and 24 thousandths, and so on. Just look at the numbers. Next, how about rounding decimals? So it is similar to rounding whole numbers. The digit being rounded to 2 is increased by 1 if the next to it is 5 or more. Otherwise, it remains the same. The rest of the digit after the digit being rounded to will then be replaced by zeros, provided these digits are located to the left of the decimal point. Then they are simply deleted. Example number 1, 7,872 and 255 thousandths. If we are going to round it to the nearest hundred, so 100 is from the decimal point going to the left. We have ones, 2 is ones, 7 is tens, 8 is hundred. Since 8 is its number next to the digit to the right is 7, of course it is highest or more than 5. So we are going to make 8 as 9 and then put the number or replace the number to its right to 0. So it will become 7,900. And then next, round to the nearest tenths. Tenths is its decimal point going to the right. So if 2 is our tenths, 5 is our hundredths, another 5 is our thousandths. So since the number next to 2 is 5, it was said that if the digit is next to it is 5 or more, we will make increase by 1. So 2 will be 3, and then put 55 into 0. So the answer is 7,862 and 3 tenths. How about round to the nearest hundredths? So where is the hundredths here? Since 2 is tenths, so the 5 in the middle is our hundredths. Since its digit to the next to it is 5, so make hundredths as add 1, so it will become 6. So the answer is 7,862 and 26 hundredths. Fundamental operations on decimals. So addition and subtraction of decimals. We have the rule. Align the decimal points, then add and subtract as usual, just like adding and subtracting whole numbers. The decimal point is the result. The result is written directly below the decimal point in the problem. So Examples, number 1 and number 2. So just align the decimal point and then add or subtract. Next, multiplication of decimals. We have the rule, disregard the decimal point and multiply the decimals just like whole numbers. The number of decimal places, example, number of digits to the right of the decimal point is the resulting product. And the resulting product is equal to the total number of decimals places of the factor. Example number 1, 3 and 102 thousandths times 54 and 7 tenths. So disregard first the decimal point. If you are going to multiply it, look at the solution. The first have 3 decimal places, and then for the second it has only 1 decimal places. So after getting the product, count from the right side how many decimal places. So since there are 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so the decimal point will be put in between 9 and 6. The same with example number 2. Next, division of decimals. If both the divisor and the dividend are whole number, the quotient has a fractional part. Then, the decimal point of the resulting quotient is placed directly above the decimal point in the dividend. Note that we can add as many as zeros as needed after the decimal point of the whole number in the dividend. So 789 divided by 15. If the divisor is a whole number and the dividend has a fractional part, then the decimal point of the quotient is located directly above the decimal point in the dividend. So we can add as many zeros after the last digit in the fractional part of the dividend. So same examples. So if the divisor has a fractional part, multiply both the divisor and the dividend by an appropriate multiple of 10 so that the divisor becomes a whole number, and then apply case. Recall that multiplying by a multiple of 10 or a power of 10, example 10 hundredths, is equivalent to moving the decimal point n places to the right. So if we are going to divide 1 and 49 hundredths divided by 24 hundredths, so the divisor is in decimal point. So in order to make it as a whole number, move it to the right. How many places are there? We have 2, 4. So we have 2 decimal point. So if we are going to move it from the divisor, so of course we are going also to divide or move rather in the part of the dividend and then divide. Fractions and decimals. First, how to convert fractions to decimals. There are 2 ways to convert fractions to decimals. The first way is convert the fraction to an equivalent fraction whose denominator is a power of 10. Then convert it to the decimal. Examples, 1/2 is equal to 5/10. Hence, 1/2 is equal to 5/10. Next, 7/50 or 14/100. Hence, 7/50 is equal to 14 hundredths. Perform the usual long division wherein the numerator is the dividend and the denominator are the divisor. From the previous example, we have 789 over 15. So divide 789 divide 15. The answer will be 52 and 6 tenths. How to convert decimals to fraction? To convert a terminating decimal to a fraction, apply the concept of a place value. Example, 23 hundredths. So, what is the place value of the decimal? We have tenths, hundredths. So, therefore, it is equal to 23 over 100. Number 2 example, 4 and 506 thousandths. So, copy the whole number, 4. And then, since its place value is 1000 or thousandths, so the denominator will be equal to 1000 and then copy the numerator as 506. To convert a repeating decimal to a fraction, refer to the example below. Example, point or 3 tenths. So, solution, let x is equal to 3 tenths and then multiply the equation by 10. Therefore, 3 tenths is equal to 3 over 9 or 1/3. Show that the repeating decimal is equal to 126 over 99. So that would be all for our discussion for this week. If you have clarifications, questions, you may ask me through my Facebook account, Rosalie Fariolan, and then you can also contact me with the number I have provided, 093535279929. And then please do your quiz or activity number 1 for your output. You can visit our website www.gaitf.com. So, and then click the test. You can find there our activity number 1. Thank you, and thank you for listening. God bless.